Ohio State is a football factory, and there's no denying that they've become a serious pipeline for NFL GMs. If you've got a scarlet and gray jersey, odds are you're going to get a shot on Sundays. We're talking about a program that churns out pros like an assembly line. The Bosa brothers, Zeke, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, the list goes on and on. But for every superstar who actually delivers, there's an equal and opposite. Wait, what happened to that guy's story? And folks, well, that's where things get fun. So, let us break down 10 Ohio State legends who were absolute monsters in college, but fizzled in, at times, spectacular fashion when they made the jump to the NFL. Jeff Okudah, CB. At Ohio State, Jeff Okudah was as close to a can't-miss prospect as one can get. He was the top corner in the country, a consensus All-American, and the kind of guy who shuts down half the field. When the Detroit Lions made him the third overall pick in the 2020 draft, fans thought that they were getting their defensive cornerstone for the next decade plus. But the NFL has a funny way of humbling even the best prospects. Okudah's rookie season was rough. He gave up big plays, battled through injuries, and only played 9 games. He finished with 47 tackles, 2 passes defended, and 1 interception. Not exactly the Jalen Ramsey comp that people were throwing around. Then came 2021. Week 1, Achilles tear. Season over before it even started. That kind of injury is devastating for any player, let alone a young quarterback trying to find his footing. Now, to his credit, Okudah is still in the league, now playing with Minnesota. But he's just sort of been serviceable at best. Nowhere near the all-pro lockdown corner that Detroit thought that they were getting. Cardale Jones, QB. Man, if you were alive in 2014, you remember the 12-gauge hype. Third stringer who came out of nowhere, wins the Big Ten title, the college football playoff semifinal, and then absolutely smokes Oregon in the national championship game. Dude went from bench warmer to college legend in basically 3 weeks. He was speedrunning it. Now, granted, his follow-up act as the actual starter didn't quite live up to the hype. But there was still some belief that Cardale would be a legit NFL quarterback. Naturally, NFL scouts started drooling over that cannon arm and 6'5" frame. The Bills grabbed him in the 4th round in 2016, thinking maybe, just maybe, they could mold him into the next big thing. Yeah, spoiler alert, they couldn't. So, instead of developing into the next Cam Newton, Jones's NFL resume reads more like a footnote. Across his entire NFL career, he attempted just 11 passes, completing 6 of them for 96 yards, 0 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That's literally his entire passing career. Not 11 games, no, 11 attempts. It's like his career existed on a single box score. Perhaps his now infamous "I didn't come here to play school" mentality leaked into his mindset as a pro, as the teams didn't see enough signs from him, both maturity or preparation-wise, during his rookie season, and they decided to part ways with him after just 1 year. Yeah, sure, he was big, mobile, and strong, but he never learned how to process defenses. His accuracy was shaky at best, and the rawness never smoothed out. Jones bounced around to a couple of practice squads and even gave the XFL a shot. But in the end, his career will always be remembered for those 3 magical college games. And that's about it. Andy Katzenmoyer, LB. Andy Katzenmoyer, aka Big Cat, was an absolute monster at Ohio State. He became the first true freshman to start at linebacker for the Buckeyes. He racked up tackles, and he won the Butkus Award in 1997. He was a consensus All-American and looked like the next great Patriots linebacker when New England drafted him 28th overall in 1999. And hell, he started strong as a rookie, getting 107 tackles, 3.5 sacks, and 3 interceptions, even making the all-rookie team. Unfortunately, that was also his peak, as his career ended shortly thereafter in tragic fashion with a serious neck injury that cut short his season in 2000, and ultimately forced him into early retirement. He finished with just 24 games, 14 starts, and 128 tackles across 2 seasons. Sometimes the term bust feels harsh, and Katzenmoyer is one of those cases. It certainly wasn't a lack of talent. It wasn't off-the-field chaos. It wasn't laziness. It was just plain bad luck. The NFL is ruthless. Maurice Clarett, RB. Maurice Clarett might be the ultimate what could have been in college football. As a freshman in 2002, he stormed into the scene with 1,237 rushing yards and 16 touchdowns, leading Ohio State to a national championship. He looked like a future superstar, the next great NFL running back. Then, everything unraveled. After a bitter fight with the NCAA and NFL over eligibility and sitting out for 2 years, Clarett entered the 2005 NFL NFL draft with baggage. Somehow, the Denver Broncos rolled the dice, taking him in the 3rd round at pick 101. This gamble failed spectacularly. Clarett showed up out of shape, struggled in training camp, and never even played a preseason game. Denver cut him before the season even began. His official NFL stat line: 0 carries, 0 yards, 0 snaps. His career was literally over before it ever started. Off the field, things just got worse. Legal troubles, prison time, and years away from football. He did eventually turn his life around, but as far as his NFL career goes, it is one of the shortest and most infamous busts in history. Art Schlichter, QB. Before he became, infamous, Art Schlichter was Ohio State's golden boy. A 4-year starter, Heisman contender, the face of Buckeye football from 1978 to 1981. Though there were whispers of his off-the-field issues, people were not surprised to see him go at the top of the draft when the Baltimore Colts made him the 4th overall pick in the 1982 draft as their quarterback of the future. Instead, they got one of the most infamous NFL busts of all time. Schlichter's downfall wasn't a lack of talent. It all was because of his gambling addiction. He blew through his rookie signing bonus, racked up massive debts, and quickly spiraled out of control. On the field, he was just as shaky. Across his career, he played 13 games with 3 starts, 3 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions and only 1,006 yards. Of course, his post-football life was filled with arrests and prison sentences as well, making him one of the league's most infamous cautionary tales about drafting an Ohio State star. Braxton Miller, QB/WR. Braxton Miller was a cheat code at Ohio State. He was a 2-time Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, a highlight machine, and the kind of athlete who made defenders look foolishly routine. As a quarterback, he was on the Heisman radar, juking entire defenses out of their shoes. Then, after a serious shoulder injury, he reinvented himself as a wide receiver and still flashed enough talent to keep scouts excited about his prospects as a pro. That versatility was supposed to be his golden ticket. The Houston Texans bought into the hype, spending a 3rd-round pick, the 85th overall in 2016, to make him their gadget weapon. Now, conceptually, this was a great strategy, but it never really came to life in the way that either side had imagined. After 2 seasons in the NFL, his final numbers were rather underwhelming to say the very least. 34 catches, 261 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's it. There was no breakout highlight reel, no big splash, just 2 modest scores and a career that ended almost as fast as it had started. Injuries piled up, his route running never really clicked, and his NFL career evaporated. It's not that Miller didn't get chances. Heck, he was on the field. He was part of the rotation. Houston cut him, and though he bounced around with Philly for a hot second, by 2019, the man was done. Defenders at the NFL level were just as fast, just as athletic, and suddenly that unstoppable athleticism didn't look so unstoppable. Darron Lee, LB. At Ohio State, Darron Lee was a bona fide stud. Had scouts excited. He fit the bill as the prototypical modern linebacker. He was fast, explosive, and made big plays in the biggest moments. I mean, take for example his performance in the 2015 Sugar Bowl against Alabama, where he was named the defensive MVP after he recorded 7 tackles and 2 sacks. Then came the combine. Lee ran a ridiculous 4.47 second 40 at 232 pounds. Needless to say, the Jets thought they were getting a sideline-to-sideline monster when they took him 20th overall in the 2016 draft. But, like most things involving the Jets in the 2010s, this didn't go as planned. Lee's athleticism never quite translated into consistency. Over 4 years in New York, he recorded 273 tackles, 4 interceptions, and 4 sacks. Not exactly what you'll want from a first-round linebacker who was supposed to anchor your defense. By 2019, the Jets had seen enough. First, they declined his 5th-year option, then they traded him to Kansas City for a 6th-round pick. Yeah, I want you to think about that for a moment. From first-round centerpiece to spare change in less than 4 years. He barely played for the Chiefs, bounced around a couple of more rosters, and then was out of the league shortly after. For Buckeyes fans, Darron Lee was a star in a national title run. For Jets fans, well, he's just another reminder of what could have been, and living proof that combine numbers don't equal career success. Damon Arnett, CB. The Raiders are no strangers to questionable draft decisions, and Damon Arnett is Exhibit A. At Ohio State, Arnett was a tough, scrappy corner. He was reliable, starting multiple seasons and earning second-team All-Big Ten honors while having a broken right in 2019 on the strength of his 35 tackles, 8 passes defended, and 1 interception stat line. Still, when the Raiders grabbed him 19th overall in 2020, that move raised some eyebrows. As you see, it turns out the skeptics were right. Arnett's NFL career was a disaster both on and off the field. In 2 seasons with the Raiders, he played just 13 games, recorded recorded 29 tackles and had 0 interceptions. Not exactly first-round production, but what truly sunk him wasn't performance. No, it was off-the-field issues. In 2021, a video surfaced of Arnett waving a gun and making death threats on social media. Because of this, the Raiders had no choice, and they had to cut him. Just like that, his NFL career was basically over. He somehow managed to garner enough interest to sign for short stints with Kansas City and Miami, but legal trouble followed him everywhere. And eventually, he was pushed out of the league entirely. For Buckeye Nation, Arnett is a starting corner from playoff runs. For Raiders Nation, he is just another draft blunder that couldn't stay out of trouble in a long line of them. Marvin Harrison Jr., WR. Alright, let's be a little careful here. Marvin Harrison Jr. is not a bust yet. But when you're the son of a Hall of Famer, a 2-time unanimous All-American, and the 2023 Biletnikoff winner, expectations aren't just high, they are stratospheric. When the Arizona Cardinals took him 4th overall in the 2024 draft, fans thought they were getting a future superstar. To be fair, year 1 was promising. 62 catches, 885 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Not bad at all. But in year 2, the narrative has really shifted. He looks completely lost out there and disconnected from Kyler Murray. And really, the rest of that offense. Drops have become a real issue, and he has directly caused multiple interceptions for the aforementioned Murray, including one week 4 this year that swung momentum in a loss. The talent is there, but whether or not he can actually execute on it feels like the furthest thing from a far-gone conclusion at this point. Vernon Gholston, DE. No list of Ohio State busts is complete without Vernon Gholston. At OSU, he was an absolute beast. In 2007, he set the school single-season sack record with 14 sacks, won Big Ten Defensive Lineman of the Year, and looked every bit like a future All-Pro. The Jets took him 6th overall in 2008, expecting a game-changing pass rusher. But from the very second that he stepped foot in the Meadowlands, he was a ghost. Jets fans still shudder at his name. He's become the poster child for wasted potential. The guy that you mention when you want to define bust. Now keep in mind, Gholston played 45 games, started 5, and recorded 42 tackles, and had 0 career sacks. Yeah, 0. For a guy drafted specifically to rush the quarterback, that stat is almost comical. He is the only top 10 edge rusher in NFL history to play that many games and never record a single sack. Yikes. But hey, which former Ohio State star were you most surprised to see struggle in the NFL? Who do you think we're right on here? Who do you think we're wrong about? Was there anyone that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.